Now next, we're going to use what's called a virtual environment. Now you may have heard this term before, especially if you've looked up any sort of Django tutorial or lots of Python tutorials for that matter. But a virtual environment allows you to sort of create a space for different projects that may have different requirements. So for example, in a given virtual environment, you can specify the version of Python that you want to use, and you can specify all the different packages you want from pip installed there. So, you may have one project that takes 50 packages and one that only uses 10, and you want to separate those because they may be using different versions of different packages, and again, different versions of Python on each. There's all sorts of different reasons, but it's a good practice to be using a virtual environment as we create projects. And in fact, in our next website, we're going to be creating a virtual environment on our local computer. But first, I want you to see how it is here on the Python Anywhere terminal. So first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to type in MK, which is short for make, and then virtual env. Okay, so this is making a virtual environment. We're going to do -- lowercase Python and set this equal to, and this is where we're saying which version we want to use. And we're going to do /user /bin/ and if you hit tab, you should be getting autocompletes here. For example, like if I start typing Python, okay, maybe it doesn't work on this website. I'm getting dings, but we're going to be using 3.8. So -- Python equals /user /bin /Python 3.8. So you can choose the version that you want. Like if you want to use 7, 6, whatever, you can, but I think 8 is a good one. It's the current one as of now. And I'm then going to give a name to the virtual environment that we're creating. So I'm going to call this portfolio venv. So for me, this helps me remember both the project that I'm working on and that it's a virtual environment. So that's why I called it portfolio venv. There's nothing magical about that. You could pick totally whatever name that you want, but go ahead, hit enter on this. And this will take a little bit of time to get this set up. But once this is here, it's going to activate this virtual environment. And then inside of this virtual environment, we will always be using Python 3.8, and any packages that we install are always going to be there. So it's nice to kind of have that to rely on. So we'll go ahead and give Python Anywhere some time. So once that's finished, we should see that we now have here in our terminal this name of our virtual environment in parentheses, and that shows us that we're activated inside the virtual environment. So what does this mean? Basically, inside the virtual environment, anything that we install in pip is contained inside of that virtual environment. And we'll always be using the specific version of Python that we mentioned. So for example, if I type out Python and hit enter, you'll notice that it's 3.8. I didn't have to type Python 3 or anything like that. I'm going to type exit with an open and close parentheses to get out of the Python terminal. And if we ever want to get out of our virtual environment, all we have to do is say exit, and oh, that gets us out of the console. Well, okay. Let's go ahead and move back into it. So go to your dashboard and hit bash. Okay. And it won't automatically bring you into your virtual environment. In order for you to do that, you have to say work on and then give the name of your virtual environment. So in my case, that's going to be portfolio venv. And if you use the same name as me, it's going to be the same for you. And if you notice we do that, we get the portfolio venv in parentheses. That's how we get back into it. So the way that we get out of this, I misspoke, deactivate instead of exit, deactivate. Okay. And look at that. Now we're outside of the virtual environment. If we want to get back into it, we just go ahead and do the work on space and then the name of our virtual environment. Now, if you forgot your name, you can see any virtual environment that you've created by doing cd.virtualenvs. If you do tab, it will autocomplete for you. And then just do an ls. This shows you the different virtual environments that are here inside of this folder. So you can see there's a couple of different ones here, but the one that we created, the one that really matters to us, is this portfolio venv. These are other ones that I assume Python Anywhere has created. So just know anytime you come into bash, make sure that you get into that virtual environment by doing the work on thing. You can either completely quit out of this and come back to get out of it, or just do the deactivate, and then you can come right here. Okay, so now that we have our own virtual environment, really the only things that we need to make sure that we have in here are Django and also Pillow. So let's go ahead and do a pip install Django and also Pillow. Those are going to be the two things that we want installed. So we'll go ahead and let it do its thing. Then eventually you will get to the point where it's all installed. And at this point, we're ready to move forward and actually get our site live. Next lecture is going to be big.